Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
However, Montreal's track is a flat affair. Switching things around completely, the series has elected to line up the Red Bull Ring for the second race. It's not the sound of music that the hills will be alive with in a moment. Let's hear those engines sing as we get ready to watch round 2 of the Porsche Owners Club series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Formerly the Österreich Ring, the Red Bull Ring carries a surprising amount of history behind it in spite of what the name implies. Let's find out more with our track guide. Welcome to the Red Bull Ring. Located near Spielberg, Austria, this track began life in a much more fast and sweeping format. Having gone through multiple different owners, it eventually was snatched up by Red Bull and has its 3 different layouts you see today. While they range roughly between 1 to 2.5 miles in length, the thing they hold in common are fast straights, hard braking zones, and very few corners. In fact, the longest and most common layout, the Grand Prix course, has only 9 of them. Spots like Rebus and Gosser are the most popular corners for overtakes, but both involve dramatic elevation changes. Each have their perils. Remus tends to see drivers make contact when the blind cutback often goes wrong, whereas Gosser tempts you into braking far too late, and the downhill nature shoots cars miserably into the gravel. A few swift bends still scatter the track, with turns like Lauda, Rent, or A1 really testing a driver's accuracy at high speeds. However, most of them don't send you off into the grass. Rather, there is a lot of paved runoff. But they often include some nasty curves most cars will want to avoid hitting, as they've been known to damage suspension and undertrays. A variety of types of racing compete here, with everything from lower Formula open-wheelers to motorcycles, touring cars, and all the way up to Formula One holding events regularly. Set among the gorgeously picturesque Alps, and including great racing on a challenging and history-rich circuit, it's easy to see why fans and drivers are both eager every time they come for a race. Well, DJ, this is a good one to come to for a second race. It usually puts on a pretty good show, whatever series we see come here.
Yeah, it really and truly does. Fast flowing, absolutely quick track around here. Look for your two primary overtaking opportunities being going up into Remus at the top of the hill and then running down it into Schlossgold. From there, we've got a bit of a fun infield section through Rauch and Wirth. When you get into those parts of the track, it's mostly single file, but we've seen plenty of fightbacks going from Schlossgold into Rauch. The last two corners of the track, Rindt and A1, that's pretty much a one-way street. You're not going to want to be getting anything there, but very, very crucial as you run around this circuit. Getting a good run off of Niki Lauda, that's going to set you up for success over the course of the entire race.
Yeah, we've seen that one plenty of times. But before we get to that race itself, we want to remind you that the series is brought to you by Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. And Game Changer Wealth, helping you become a game changer with wealth. Contact them today at GameChangerBR.com or at 225-664-2565. Now, let's head to the race details for this one in case anybody hasn't tuned into this one before, DJ.
Well, this is the second of 12 rounds. That's right. In this season, we're splitting up the racing season, so it starts over halfway through. We are driving the Porsche 911 GT3R 992s. That's right. The new car to the service going to be brought out there. You can always tell the difference by the horizontal tail light on these cars. But it's going to be their traditional sprint racing format here. So 30 minutes out on the track. That's preceded by a 30-minute qualifying session. And this is the crucial part, Joe. Fixed setup, so everybody's driving the same thing.
Exactly. And right now, that fixed setup plus a short lap time has meant that it's pretty close up at the top, but it's not the names I would have expected, honestly. Jad Duncan and AJ Roper are currently your front row, separated by 200ths of a second. However, a very familiar name at the front, Tom Layton, sits in fourth, and he's 1,000th off of Mark Rondeau. So things are pretty tight up there. We'll see if it changes around because they still have 9 minutes left to try and find some time out here.
Yeah, they've still got plenty of time, and the crucial thing here is the track temperature right now is 112 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, normally when we talk about qualifying, we see quick laps be set down at the beginning and then start to sort of taper away as the session goes on. But I think with track temperatures that high, if we get a little bit of cloud cover rolling on in, if we get any change in that track surface that causes that 112-degree track surface to drop, we could see some very quick laps getting set.
In fact, I'm seeing between, it looks like 6th and 9th, 4 cars are in 1/10 of a second there in the mid-pack. So just one little improvement certainly could jump you up a number of positions. As coming off the final corner, we've got Andrew Chinichi, who usually is a lot quicker than that. 8th place this time across. He does improve up to 6 spots. So like I said, just little improvements are going to have massive consequences out here. Speaking of massive consequences, one thing that I'm sure a lot of drivers don't want to hear us talk about, but it's the reality of this track, and that is track limits, DJ.
Oh, you said the naughty words. Track limits around this circuit will absolutely come back to bite you if you are not careful, particularly going down through turns 10 and 11. That's the real danger zone, going down through Rindt in A1. You're carrying so much speed through these cars that it's going to track you out a little bit. As there we see Tom Layton, well, you don't have to worry about track limits coming out of Schlossgold because there's a big gravel trap right there to catch you.
Yeah, so this lap's no good for him. He'll have to stay out there and stick with it. Wonder if we'll see anybody maybe dive in for some tires here in a moment and do a couple quick laps right at the very end. Since, again, if you come in and take a new car, you're going to have more fuel in it, so they want to try and stay out there, but they are allowed to take tires here to try and get a quicker time. Down across the line for Jacob Abrams does not improve. Jim Slavic behind him also. It does not go quicker. Both of them having their laps deleted as they take off on another one. Looking to see if I can find somebody on a flyer here as we're watching the likes of AJ Roper out of the final corner. Now, the way he cut across that pit entry, not going to be as much of an issue, but if you do have to visit the pit lane, you don't want to make matters worse because I've seen drivers cop a penalty for trying to cut across that white line.
Yeah, as have I many a time here, Joe. But I want to draw our attention back to Mr. Tom Layton. Now, he obviously had that lap discounted on the last running, but he was fastest out of anybody through Sector 1 on that last lap. So I think there's still some speed to be gained here out of this number 1 machine. And especially considering the fact he's about a second behind Andrew Chinichi right now, he's going to be getting a nice little benefit of the draft going down these straightaways, and that could be just enough to help eke him ahead.
That's a good point. Yeah, if he's set this up correctly, as long as he doesn't suffer in the dirty air too much coming through the infield section, then I think he could find himself a little bit of an advantage. Is he going to get it right this time coming out of Schlossgold? Yes, he is. Kept it within the white lines as it continues to plunge downhill, coming over a little bit of a crest here out through Rauch, and then you'll see them head into Vert, another of those left-handers. In fact, the only other left-hander over the course of this lap. And now it's just 2 more braking zones for him to finish it up. Right now I'm showing him just about even with his best time, so I'm not sure if he'll jump up.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any purple sector times here out of him, so I may have had a little bit of a false negative there pointing to it. But here he comes down through the corner, rear end starting to step away on him just a little bit. Going to keep everything gathered up back up underneath him. Let's see what Mr. Layton has got as he crosses over the line. That's not going to be good enough to move.
That's only because Andrew Chinichi did better just in front of him. Andrew is up into 3rd. Tom did go faster, but he stays in 4th place. So he is finding something, and look at that. They're both slowing down. He wants Andrew's slipstream, and Andrew's tired of giving it to him.
Yeah, very much so, as that's going to discount both of their laps here. But with 4.5 minutes left to go in the session, there's still plenty of time. Now it looks like Layton's going to file in behind Dylan Scott and try to get a little bit of draft off of that 08 machine. But we follow right now, I believe that's the number 83 in front of us of Jad Duncan, who's currently up at the top of the pops.
Yeah, and again, I'm kind of shocked. Jad has gotten a little bit quicker lately, but not pole position quicker. So incredible stuff as he comes down through Rint in the last corner here. It's quite a steep plunge. Doesn't really show it here on the cameras, but you got to watch out for that car wanting to wash out. And as Duncan crosses the line, it's a 30.6. So that's not going to be any faster. He still has 200s over AJ Roper, but now that Chinichi and Layton have improved, the top 4 are within a 10th.
Absolutely remarkable stuff here. That's Michael Johnson going for a little trip off into the outside gravel. And speaking of Jad Duncan here, I'm reminded back to, this must be 3, almost 4 years ago at this point, when we had the multi-class series running here in the Porsche Owners Club, that Jad in the GT4 category was always incredibly quick and would constantly put that car on pole position. He'd struggle a little bit in race pace, but we're seeing maybe a little bit of a flash of that here again out of Jad.
Yeah, maybe just something about this new GT3 clicks with him pretty well. Is across the line here. Is that still Layton trying to take a bit of a tow? Looks like maybe he checked up behind Heindel. Not sure if he didn't like what he saw. And, well, Heindel's going to mess up the exit of the corner regardless and then pull out of the way.
All right, so plenty of them just getting out of the way here at this point as they run. And here comes the 11 working his way down to the inside, going to let Rondeau go. And I think Layton here is going to be very happy, and they are going to be able to get a nice little draft off in front of him.
Watching to see if any of our front runners are closer to getting a time, and AJ Roper just crossed, not able to improve, unfortunately. So looks like they'll have to cycle around once more. But Jad Duncan is actually pulling off the track, so our pole sitter, unless he's just waiting for a slipstream. No, he just towed himself into pit lane. Jad cannot get around for another lap from here. He's run out of time, unfortunately. So as we see the 07 coming up the hill, AJ Roper is about even with his quickest and only 200s behind. He does not need to improve a lot here. This is still game on.
Yeah, it certainly is here at this point. AJ's going to have to put a good lap down. Now, he's not going to get any benefit of the toe off in front of him. That's going to hurt him there a little bit, but he's going to have to keep up as much minimum speed as possible going through these corners.
As he plunges down into the infield now. Still showing a little slow, but not by much. You could definitely make this up in the last sector. In fact, he's very fast coming down through Rauch. He's gained almost 0.2 of a second through there. and looking like this car loves this part of the track when it's in his hands. Let's see what the rest of the corners hold here as he's got those two right-handers left to go, but he's lost a little bit of time coming out of the infield section now. Can he keep it up? He needs just the tiniest of margins to take the pole away from Jad Duncan in the dying stages, and he'll get one more chance to do it if he desires. After this one, he'll cross the line, and it looks like it does not improve for him, unfortunately, so he'll have to cycle back around.
Yeah, he'll have one more bite at the apple here as he goes. He's going to bring that car back up the long main straightaway. Looks like Leighton's going to be able to cross over with enough time as well. He's about currently working down the back straight now towards Schlossgold, but the 07 of Roper trying to do everything he can do. He set personal best there in the first two sectors on that last lap, but it just wasn't enough.
They are allowed to finish these hot laps, even though the clock will tick down to 0. And Andrew Chinichi, it's going to be close if he can get another one in, but he might not need it because I'm showing him almost 2/10 up at moments, and he's a lot closer to the end, but he has a big bobble coming into Rint, and that throws it all away.
Oh, and that's going to absolutely scupper him there as he brings the car back around. We're going to focus here in on Tom Leighton. Let's see what the number one's got.
Tom Leighton sits in fourth, but he's 0.5 quicker. This is going to shoot him up massively. As long as he stays within the track boundaries, he's certainly pushing it very far to the edge. As he comes to the line, he's lost some time. It's now only 0.3, but that's plenty to do it. And he does it. A 30.1 will put him on the pole.
Wow, absolute clutch performance there from Tom Leighton, able to bring that car across. Now, does the 07 of Roper have anything to say about it?
He's showing 0.2 faster, but that's about close to what he needs to catch Tom Leighton. 30.0, he has done it, you're right.
He's got it with a time of 1:30.089, only 53 hundredths faster than Leighton.
Wow, last lap, and it's coming down to this. Ost is going to park it. He's not happy about it. This means that Chinichi, I think, is our only other driver who can complete a lap from here. And he was improving on the first part, but now he's slowing as he comes to the infield.
Yeah, looks like he's not carrying enough speed, and he's going to pull it off and park it there, Joe.
Wow, what a finish to qualifying. The top 4 positions all changing around right in the dying moments. And on top of it all, AJ Roper lost it and claimed it back in the dying moments there as he crossed the line. Tom Leighton was second this time around. Let's see what he can do in the race itself. Jad Duncan will start from P3. After that, you've got Andrew Chinichi starting in 4th and Mark Rondeau in P5. Michael Johnson will start from 6th, but he's notorious for racing better than he qualifies. Michael Bolton will be P7, and Michael Ost will start in 8th. From there, it is going to be Dylan Scott in 9th, and Gabe Zamora will start from 10th.
In 11th place, it's going to be Jeff Shulin with Doug Boccioni to his outside, then Drew Schwala and Jacob Abrams make up row 7. Dustin Heindel will line up in 15th, followed by Mark Bray with Mike Parsons and Matt Hollander lining up behind them. Jim Slavic will be 19th, Jim Walsh 20th, and then it's John Momeyer and Larry Haas to round out the rest of your grid.
22 cars here for round 2 of season 2 in 2023. This is the first time that they've split it up for some time, as it used to be full year-long seasons, but they've shortened them out and given them fewer drop weeks. So this is certainly going to be fascinating to watch as they now start to grid up. It is a rolling start for these GT3 cars behind the Porsche Pace car, and then they'll be on their way for 30 minutes around this track. As we said, passing definitely possible around here, DJ, so the start position is by no means a foregone conclusion.
No, it certainly isn't, and plenty of these drivers are going to be able to make moves here, but the trick is you've got to be patient. The move going up into Rauk may not always be, or going up into Remus, may not always be your best opportunity because it could open up the door for a fight back going down into Schlossgold. So picking your maneuvers, picking the place you're going to make the pass, that's going to be absolutely crucial.
Can AJ Roper beat Tom Leighton here? This has been a bit of a surprise. So the 07 Going to try and take it to the man who has been dominating this series for 2 seasons, essentially. Even though he didn't take the championship last time out, he by far took the most wins and definitely was the fastest driver. It was a lack of attendance that cost him in the end, and a few bad results mixed in there, unfortunately, came back to bite him by the end of things. But don't count out Andrew Chinichi. He usually gave Tom a run for his money throughout the season. And Michael Johnson, our current reigning champion, was Mr. Consistency. So what can he do if they start to get tangled in front of him?
Yeah, exactly. How are they going to handle it? How is everything going to be able to make their way around here as they go? Let's see what they can do as we get ready to file our way around 30 minutes around this very swift track.
A lot of high-speed portions on this circuit, but a couple of hairpins definitely will help you try and get those passes done as they come up into Rent now. The pace car will peel off, giving control over to that front row, Roper and Layton. But he's got to wait patiently for the green from the flagman, from Barney, as he can now see him down the hill, waiting for the go. And it's a long hold for them. Now it is out. Green flag, and it is Roper trying to take off, but it looks like Layton's got a pretty good run behind them. Duncan takes a peek, so does Chinichi. Both of them decide to back out as we are still very 2x2 through most of the field. 3 wide even coming up, and we've got an incident as the car gets spun to the side.
I think Gabe Zamora, Michael Bolton both involved in that, and maybe Mark Bray as well. It is Bray and Bolton that find themselves completely off the track here.
As they come up into the braking now of Remus, it looks like Roper is going to hold on to that top spot. And Layton is going to continue to try and run him down. But Chinichi now in third as Jad Duncan loses out to Michael Johnson, already up 2 spots.
Yeah, Duncan had a bad run there coming up through Remus, just not able to fight back nearly as much as he would have wanted to, as now they filtered their way through the corner. It even looks like Mark Rondeau could be having a place here on Jad Duncan, who's already down 2.
Some good hard racing here at the start, but not as many passes or pass attempts as I anticipated. They're getting single file quite quickly. Up at the front of it all, AJ Roper's got about 0.2, 0.3 seconds over Tom Layton as they come up to Rent and A1. Chinichi falling off just a hair. It's about 0.6 seconds off.
About 0.6 seconds off, but he's going to be able to keep that up in the draft if they go. The big thing here at this point is going to be 1 second. That is the margin that they need to keep it in between if they want to hold on to the draft.
Lap 1 is complete now. Back up into Niki Lauda. And Tom Layton is definitely within that 1 second, but it's a lot closer behind him between Jad Duncan and Mark Rondeau. Jad quick over a single lap, but struggling here at the start of the race.
Yeah, a little bit confusing to see what happened there. Maybe Jad just needs to build a little bit more of a rhythm, just get into the flow of this track a little bit more. Oh, there was almost a half-hearted look from Tom Layton. We've got another car spun around in the back. I think that's the number 7 there of Jim Walsh.
It is indeed, and he's gonna wait patiently, doing the right thing, letting everybody go by, but boy, it was costly. As they come down into Schlossgold once again, a look from behind says Jad Duncan and Johnson almost went side by side as well. A lot of maybes and ifs, but I'm not seeing the amount of passing that I anticipated.
No, nor am I, and it's a lot of very cautious running here from these drivers. We're not really seeing them wanting to risk it all here on the early stages, and I think that's probably a good strategy. They know this is a 30-minute race, and there's plenty of time to come.
Layton a couple tenths farther away. That's going to give us a chance to take a look at what happened there on the first lap. I know we had one incident coming out of Niki Lauda, but we apparently had a second one that I have not seen quite yet, and this is that incident coming out of Niki Lauda, as unfortunately that is Bolton getting turned around.
Yeah, just caught the wrong end of that incident there. Bolton looks like he's got a little bit of damage on the left-hand side of that car, and he'll be able to go. Now, this is a replay of the incident coming up into Remus here. Oh, contact with the 69 and the 37 there. Absolutely jumbled around.
It's easy to do, and the car winding up facing the wrong way, unfortunately. Is that involved? Yes, it absolutely is. Gets into the side of him. And that's a rather common occurrence, just going through that hairpin. If you get spun around, hard to stop it before you come off the other side.
Yeah, very, very much so as we watch here. Bolton just bringing his way back around and now avoiding all of that incident. But, Joe, we've got to go back to live pictures because we've got a full-fledged fight for the lead of this race.
Leighton gave a big look down at Schlossgold, but that opened him up to Chinichi, who tried to get involved as well. So it's a three-way fight, if anything, although Andrew lost a little bit of his time in that attempt.
Yeah, he did. Looked like Leighton had a little bit of a narrower line there going through Rauch, able to maybe carry a little bit more momentum on corner exit. Now as they work their way out here, again, this is going down into Rint, into A1. You're not really going to want to pass through here, and I think with as much time as we've got on the clock, Leighton's just going to hold back and wait.
Maybe he's starting to get a handle on things now as they break into A1 off the final corner and into the start-finish straight once again. Leighton looking scarily close to AJ Roper. Is he going to have to defend? He chooses not to, stays on the racing line. Will Leighton try to attack here if he gets a good exit? And he does. He is right there.
Yeah, he is right all over the back of him there, and now that's not a defensive line from the 07 of Roper. That's just the traditional line taken up through this rising hill. Let's see, though. Now he's going to go defensive, holding onto that inside line. Here comes Leighton around the outside.
Sometimes you can see those passes stick the long way around. Not quite this time. Can't get the throttle down as early, but he's going to get another dose of that slipstream is behind them. I think that was Michael Ost spun around. He's going to try and get that back onto the track and take advantage of the paved runoff down to the outside once again. And again, he is denied.
And again, Chinichi starting to insert himself into this conversation as well. We ride on board the hood here of the number 20 machine. He is hoping this battle just continues on because it is going to open up more and more opportunity for him.
Also, Baccignone had a spin through Nicky Lauda, so that sent him backwards to 20th. Seems like a lot of drivers struggle a little bit out of some of these corners, despite all the handy guides to help them, all the mechanical aids that they've got out here. That is Dylan Scott spinning through Rauch and returning to the circuit.
Yeah, Dylan just having a little bit of a problem here. Easy to do, just carrying too much speed down through the corners, but we jump back to live pictures here up at the front as Leighton continues to try to push in onto the back of Roper. Call that gap about 2 car lengths as they cross over the start-finish line.
Chinichi had a miserable exit off of that final corner, and that helped out Michael Johnson. Oh, behind them, a big slide there for Jad Duncan. He keeps control of it, but it was a good opportunity for him as well, and he kind of handed it away.
Yeah, and that's one of the things about this circuit, Joe. It is deceptively simple. You see a map of it, you go, oh, that's going to be pretty easy to drive. I think I can handle that. And you take a car around here, and you realize just how tricky the elevation change on these corners really makes everything.
There's another look, though. He caught back up to Johnson, who must have had his own bad run. And this is for 4th position. Johnson does not defend the inside. He's going to allow Duncan through. That's 1 position gained back for a pole sitter.
All right, so Jad Duncan starting to move his way back up forward here a little bit, but Johnson maybe is fighting back a little bit more than we thought coming down into Rauch.
Wheel to wheel, but Duncan's got the inside. It's very hard to try and hold on the long way around. He's going to hang tough, but eventually he gets fed out. Michael Johnson has to accept the 5th place. And apologies, Duncan was not our pole sitter. I got it confused with AJ Roper, although Duncan briefly was on the top spot.
Yeah, briefly was up there, but able to fight his way back through. Doesn't look like Johnson's going away anywhere early, though, as he's going to try to fight back here. Looking to the back of Jad Duncan, just following in those tire tracks. Now, this battle is really allowed for these top 3 to stretch away. There you can see that visual distance. It is starting to be a big gap between Roper, Leighton, and Chinichi and the rest of this field.
Up into the braking. Oh, we got to go back to our leaders. It was a poor exit from AJ Roper, and Leighton knows it. He's once again forced to take the left-hand side of the track, but this time I'd say he's much farther alongside. We watched from onboard Chinichi and almost seemed like Roper gave that up.
Yeah, I wonder if he did, if he was just worried about the draft. Maybe he's positioning himself for a little bit later on. I think the other explanation for that, Joe, could have been he's just recognized he had a bad run off the corner and said, you know what, I'm not going to fight this and lose us both time.
Yeah, they do have Chinichi still right there, ready to pick up the pieces. And the three-car fight definitely complicates things. But they are starting to ditch Johnson and Duncan, who just swapped positions again as Johnson overtakes Duncan and moves back into fourth once more.
All right, so swapping and swapping around here at this point, trying to see what they are able to get done. Here they come down into the corners. Let's see what is going to happen here. It looks like Leighton's starting to pull away a little bit from Roper, it has to be said.
Yeah, he's got himself a little bit of space, but it's pretty comparable to what Leighton was behind him for much of this first stage. It's only a third of the way into this, so I think we still could have a fair few developments out here, not least of which we haven't even talked about the fact that we could run across lap traffic.
Yeah, we very well could. This is a short enough of a circuit. We very well could. Michael Bolton, about 37 seconds up the road right now from these drivers. Now, looking here at the last lap times, he's within about 0.8 of a second of the leader. So unless we see another big coming together here and we see some drivers plummeting down through the order, I don't think we're going to run into lap traffic, but we very well might.
You might want to go to 9th place because Heindel, Schulem, and for a while Scott were really battling hard for these positions. Scott's starting to distance himself after he was able to get a better exit than these two coming off of Niki Lauda. Heindel trying to outbrake around the outside, cuts down, leaves a little space for Schulem. Schulem pinches his own line and gives it up, but now look behind them. That's Parsons, Zamora, and Ost.
Yeah, they're going to be coming on strong here because they didn't have to compromise their line coming down through Remus. Now, they're not going to be able to fully capitalize here as they break down into Schlossgold. But I'll tell you what, this could be something very interesting. Keep an eye here on Gabe Zamora. I like the lines. Is that a slowdown?
Not entirely sure. That was a bit strange there from Heindel. Maybe he thought he made a little contact. Oh, speaking of which, nose-to-tail contact there between Parsons and Zamora, both of them getting spun around and losing multiple positions.
Yeah, that's very, very unfortunate there as we see the 561 of Parsons reversing back out into the gravel trap, going to be able to get himself pointed the right way. And again, doing the sportsman thing there of letting everybody on by before he gets himself back out onto the track.
Yeah, I do like what I've seen from the group here today. There's been a lot of good heads up on trying to re-enter the track safely. So they must have had a lot of good coaching sessions in the off-season to get them to pay attention to that, make sure they re-enter the track in a very safe way. Boccignoni gets by him there before they get into Rinth. But back up at the front, Leighton ahead by a few more tenths here. He's up to 6 tenths over Roper. So you may be right, DJ. He may be a little bit quicker than him, but if he is, it's not by huge margins.
No, it's not leaps and bounds here at this point, but he's just trying to eke himself away, and sometimes that's all you need, especially around a shorter lap like this. But I'll tell you what, Joe, we've got another pretty good battle starting to shape itself up here. That's the battle for P4 right now. Oh, we've got another car off. That's Parsons again.
Face him backwards out of Niki Lauda. He's going to back it up and turn it around, and yep, you got plenty of space. There you go. Now he is on his way. I was hoping he wouldn't wait any longer than that. He's already down to 21st, having a bit of a rough time. And now Heindel, who just about pulls in front of Zamora, spoke too soon. Thankfully did not make contact, and they're rolling Zamora back up to 12th. He himself had a moment not long ago.
Yeah, and indeed, like I said before, this track proving just how deceptively tricky it really and truly is. It'll catch you out if you're not ready for it. And these drivers here just finding the hard way that if you get on the power a little bit too early, even with the traction control that are in these new 992 cars, they can come back on you.
Indeed. So along the front stretch, watching that battle between Dylan Scott and Jeffrey Schulem, we saw it a little bit ago. In fact, I think, Schulem has caught back up to Scott. Remember, he was kind of trying to scamper off and put himself a good 10 to 12 car lengths away from that bright blue 371. Now he's under threat once again. Don't think Schulem can try anything here in the Remus, but if he can get the car to lay down rubber out of this corner, he could try into Schlossgold.
Yeah, he certainly could, and that's a great exit there for him to be able to come out of the corner like that. But unfortunately for him, Dylan Scott got just as good of an exit, and that's going to keep them pretty much exactly as they were when they went into the corner.
Yeah, no pass attempt this time down into Schlossgold behind them. Michael Ost looking like he's losing touch there in his blue and black machine. As they break for the left-hander, the first of two into Rauk, and work their way just glancing the curb over these portions. Very flat curbs here, at least on the inside apexes. Outside is a completely different story, though. You don't want to clatter over some of these yellow sausage curbs.
No, you certainly don't. They are very, very large sausage curbs and can absolutely throw your car for a loop. Even in these heavier machines, they can really come back to bite you. You've got to watch out for it all the way around the circuit.
Ooh, bit of a bad run for Johnson. Duncan's going to try and take the opportunity. He goes off to the left-hand side as Michael defends. They approach the braking up into the hill of Remus, and they're going to be absolutely wheel to wheel. Hard to find an advantage between them, but the extra distance for Duncan does not pay off.
No, it does not. He's going to try to keep up as much as he can here going around the outside. Going to try to see if he can hold that out just a little bit more. He's going to have it all to do here coming down into the corner.
Very brave on the brakes. Oh, but he can't find the grip, and Johnson comes right back at him down at the apex. He's back through. Duncan will have to regroup and try again.
Yes, he will. Let's see how he's able to do it here at this point. Let's see what he can do, if he's able to do anything, as they work their way down into that infield section. Jad Duncan just, oh, so close. You got to kind of feel for him there, just how close he was able to get.
Speaking of getting close, Dylan Scott was not happy with how close Shulam was getting, because he's already managed to overtake him. Remember, he was behind that 08 machine, and now he has managed to sneak past just as Michael Ost starts to approach once again. So maybe that was him giving the hurry up, saying, I don't want to be caught and passed myself.
Yeah, maybe that could indeed be what it is. But now at this point, we see that battle still firing off a little bit down into Rent. My goodness.
Shulam feeling another threat. He went defensive on Dylan Scott and just about made the pass around the outside, which is not easy in that quarter. And now Michael Ost really is there as he approaches the pair of them. It's a three-car battle once again.
Yes, it is. Let's see how they're able to fend it out. We ride on board with Ost here at this point, hoping to get a good line out of the corner. He looks a little bit closer up to Dylan Scott than Scott is to Shulam, but that could be a little bit deceptive as they work their way up the hill into Remus.
Ost wants both of these spots back because he's down 2 from where he started. Wants to at least be where he began this race. Much tidier down at the apex, though, for Dylan Scott. Look at him scoot away.
Yeah, that was a really good run there for Dylan. He's going to be feeling very, very happy about that. He's going to be able to absolutely be looking on the back here as they go down into the corner. Not able to get the move done, but he's got some good speed in that 08.
Just figured out where to apply the throttle out of that corner, and that has put him in contention with Jeff Shulam, who's defending once again down into Rauk. Unusual places for him to put that car down to the inside. I'm not sure what he's doing.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure either what he's trying to do. I mean, he's almost looking like he's trying to defend on portions of the track that I wouldn't anticipate being portions you need to defend on. It's almost like he's trying to prevent from an unorthodox move.
In fact, there was a little bit of a peek there by Dylan Scott into that right-hander Rent, but he wasn't nearly close enough, so certainly wasn't a serious one. They're going to stay in order. Shulam in 8th, Scott in 9th, and Ost in 10th.
All right, so here they come crossing over the line right now. Let's see how they're able to get the run here out of Nicky Lauda. Again, very, very crucial here. That's about the perfect line there you want to see for Shulam and for Scott. Ost clobbering onto that outside sausage curve a little bit more than I think he would like to, and that's going to cost him maybe a half a tenth.
Yeah, it looks like they're separating a little bit, although a teeny tiny little slip up could definitely cost you. Wow, once again, way down to that apex for Dylan Scott, and he gained so much time initially, but it looks like it's hampering his exit.
Well, and that's one of the things about that corner. Down on that inside apex there, Joe, there's actually a little bit of a divot on the track, and so sometimes you can get down into there and really feel the car bogged down. But look at that again. Very, very defensive line there from Shulam, and because of Scott's bad run off the corner, now Ost is up into this equation again.
Absolutely is. It's a battle that just won't go away. Every time I think it's about to die down, they bring each other back in, and Ost is getting close to Scott, uncomfortably close. In fact, he's almost touching that back bumper now.
Almost on the back bumper. Let's see what Ost has got here as they fly down into the corner. Is he going to be brave enough to have a look going down into Rent? Thought about it, not going to go for it.
Oh, and he's a little too unsighted, I think. He missed his turn-in or something there as the car falls backwards, but thankfully he doesn't spin it out. Now that this is separated, I wonder if we could get a little love to Matt Hollander in the 69 machine. 11 positions up. He qualified in 18th, and he's a bit of an on-again, off-again driver in this series. Used to be the league organizer. But has busy days these days. And I have to say, I'm mighty impressed with how much he's done in this race.
Yeah, I am as well. He's doing a really, really good job here at this point. Just keep it on, keep it on. A P7, nothing to shake a stick at, especially with the influx of talent, frankly, that we're seeing at the front of this field.
And a new paint as well that he's quite proud of. So definitely looking pretty snazzy in that black and gold machine, apparently dragon themed. Is how he put it. Meanwhile, stepping behind him once again, checking out Schulem and Scott. While that mistake from Ost has made it a two-car fight, and he just had another one. You can see him even farther away there in the background now, and looking actually quite slow. That must have been a very big slide, actually.
Yeah, that had to have been a big, big moment. I didn't happen to catch that, but you are right, Joe. That was not the kind of issue there that he would like to have had, I've got to imagine, as Ost is now, well, dare I say it, out of this equation for the time being.
Yeah, he needs them to have a big oops or have quite a bit of speed because he's 2 seconds behind him. So that was a massive mistake on his part. So we go back to Scott and Schulem, but even Scott looks like he's lost a tiny bit of distance to the 371.
Yeah, Schulem looks like he's just been able to put in a couple of good laps here, not really pay attention. I think that's been the biggest thing, is just kind of ignoring any advances here from behind him and just focusing in on the run he needs to have. Because when you're talking about running in a defensive line like that, you got to remember, coming off line is going to slow you down.
Yeah, that's a good point. So you have to keep that in mind. I was checking to see. I think we heard news that Rondeau may have had a bit of an off, but I think he just maybe got a slowdown penalty of some sort going wide at a few of these corners. Watching the battle here between the 12 and the 728 of Jacob Abrams. Abrams up 2 spots. Looked actually, I'd say, pretty good in the qualifying session. Was in 14th, not known for being that fast in Q, and sometimes a little mistake prone in the races, but he's been doing a good job getting himself potentially mid-pack finish.
Yeah, if he's able to walk away with this, that's going to be something he can hang his hat on. Certainly something that he'll be very, very happy to have gotten, I have to imagine. And, you know, I mean, sometimes when you're talking about a new season like this, that's all you need. Just a good result to start things off that can build momentum and really turn into something even stronger later on in the run.
And we have to remember, I mentioned the driver aids that they have in these cars, the traction control, the anti-lock braking, DJ. Some of the drivers mentioned last week that because of them racing the Cup car last year, they're having to rewire their brains a bit.
Yeah, exactly, especially when you talk about the ABS. There's a different threshold when you come on to what we like to call threshold braking, which is braking with the maximum amount of force possible, and that what is actually going to cause the tires to lock up, you find that there's just a little bit more pressure you can extract out of the car than compared to when the ABS is going to start to kick in. So you've got to learn where that ABS kick is going to go. And likewise with the traction control, you've got to learn where that throttle is going to start to cut out when you put it down coming out of the corner. So even though we're still driving Porsches here at this point, it is almost like learning a completely new car.
Indeed, and nice little battle between Abrams and Zamora for this 11th spot as they carry on down through Schloss Gold once again. We're into the final 7 minutes now, so time is ticking away. 30-minute races go by pretty quickly.
Yeah, they really and truly do here, and it's one of those things that I like the 30-minute race because it's not Well, it is a true sprint race. When we talk about the world of racing, 30 minutes is a very quick run. But here on the sim, 30 minutes is a little bit longer than you would normally see. So you've really got to find that rhythm. You can't just be going out and banging out qualifying laps, lap after lap. You've got to settle in a little bit more. And that's where we see some of these gaps start to grow and expand.
Well, not only that, I mean, considering it's around 110 or so Fahrenheit for much of this race, I got to imagine 30 minutes, you do need to think about how much you're abusing the tires.
Exactly. That's another big thing. And you're not going to have to worry about it nearly as much on a sprint race such as this, and with the traction control and ABS helping to take away a little bit of that rear tire spin in particular, but you're still going to have to be worrying about it.
Back into Remus once again, just clipping that apex curb and then climbing up to that highest point, and back down they go along the hills. Many of these portions are part of the original track that was here. It was refigured in the late 90s, or I think actually mid 90s, I want to say. And made into the layout that you see today, but it has a lot fewer swift corners than what we saw in that old version, but it certainly is a well-loved track even now with the differences that it has. By the way, Duncan and Johnson have found themselves closing in once again in this battle for fourth, just outside of the podium. Good credit to Duncan, because remember, he had dropped off of Michael Johnson by a fair bit.
Yeah, he really had, and I've been keeping my eye on this battle, and Chad's just been chipping away here at Michael Johnson, trying to eke in a little bit more time, trying to see if he's able to just close in, and I haven't seen him take any big lunges here and nothing crazy, but now here comes a run as he's got a good line off the corner.
This is the closest I've seen him been since he caught up to him, and he's now actually got the inside. That's a big difference there. They've been constantly trying around the outside with the other driver defending. And will this make the big difference? Yes, it absolutely does. He is through into fourth.
All right, here they go. But Johnson looking to see if he can fight back here a little bit. He's going to have a half-warded poke going down into Rauk. It's not going to play out, and Duncan's going to hold on to the position.
Oof, ambitious move, doesn't pay off. One thing that Johnson does have over him, I believe Johnson has raced at this actual track in the real world, so might know a few tricks that Jad does not.
Yeah, he very well might. We'll have to see if he's able to maybe pull out something out of his hat here necessarily, and see if he's able to get a little bit more running as he goes. But right now, time is running out, and Duncan's the one in the catbird seat.
He's got track position, but Michael Johnson's got a pretty good toe. He's sticking right with him, making him work for this one. Shows his nose, decides to not take it here up into Niki Lauda. Maybe just trying to see if he can shake him off the apex, but it doesn't work. Here comes another decent run.
All right, here he comes. Is he going to be able to have the run here at this point? Let's see what he's able to do. No, it doesn't look like he's got it. He almost backed off a little bit there.
Yeah, maybe he was thinking better to try and set it up coming here off of Remus. Oh, man, the tires did not agree with his throttle application, and Duncan ran away.
Yeah, Duncan absolutely ran away there. It looked like at this point that was a little bit of a cutout, potentially, of that ABS system, unfortunately.
Well, that gives him a little bit of breathing space, but not a whole lot. He only needs it for a little bit longer, because I think we're going to be at the 2 to go this time by when they cross the line. Tom Layton's been continuing to lead this race. He's run away by about 4 seconds over AJ Roper, so AJ has not been able to respond. He is coming up on a little bit of that lap traffic, but none of them are battling for position, so I think it should be a pretty clear run.
Yeah, I think it should be a pretty clear run here at this point. 2.5 minutes left to go in the race. I don't really see a whole lot changing around for these drivers up at the top.
Absolutely. So there was that 2 to go signal. They are down to the popsicle sticks here. And we have had some passes happening mid-pack. We haven't shown as many of them, like right here, where Dustin Heindel and Mark Bray are dueling for 14th position. Heindel actually just took that away from Mark.
Yeah, good move there for Heindel, able to take that away, so he's going to feel pretty happy about that as now they run down away. Heindel going to have to try to hold out, though, because I'm not sure if Mark Bray is going to have a little look down into Rint. Able to hold him off, though.
Yeah, he thought about it, but again, that's a tricky place and space left at the apex by Heindel there from Mark Bray down out of the final turn. Still doesn't take advantage of it. But they now get the 2-to-go signal as behind them the leader is coming around. They're close to being lapped. I shouldn't say that. They're about half a minute away. In fact, there we go. First car really, truly being lapped as we've lost Dhruv Chawla, the only other car to be lapped, but he's out of this race.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll have to see there how the rest of that shakes out in terms of, I don't think any of these drivers are going to be caught by your leader here at this point, but there they go, coming down through the corner right now. We see him coming to the white flag.
1-to-go signal for Tom Layton. Going to try and put himself back on top once again. He lost the championship last season. AJ Roper with the fastest lap of the race behind him, though. And by a pretty good margin, nearly 3/10 of a second faster.
That's really pretty impressive there. I wonder where this speed was a couple of laps ago when he could have had a chance to close in on Tom Layton.
And some of it may be that Layton isn't able to take advantage of the light car here because he is dealing with the traffic now. And Roper's cut it down to about 2.5 seconds. So maybe Tom's just kind of taking it easy. And Roper sees these battles and knows, I got to try and push now. In fact, there you go. Tom Layton trying to get to the inside of Jim Walsh. Walsh does give way, but he didn't make it super easy on that blue machine.
No, he certainly did not there at that point as they now dive down into the corner trying to see what they're going to be able to get. It's here they work their way on through right now. Let's see what they're able to go for. Not going to see any battles playing out there behind. This looks like a pretty easy sail here, but Roper's still got a clear run by.
Yeah, I think Layton was playing it safe there at the end. He knew that he didn't need to risk the car if they weren't going to leap out of the way. Just try and make sure you make good, solid moves. And that is going to get him a win as Tom Layton takes victory here at the Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, certainly does. Layton back to his winning ways. Oh, Michael Johnson's had a spin coming through the final corner.
Oh, and it's going to lose him a spot to Rondeau. Can he get it back on the track? He's coming down into pit lane. This is bizarre. He's not going to try and go back out. Not sure why he's doing this. He could lose another position here. He's got to go past the finish line, and he's just going to be able to do it over Matt Hollander.
Barely able to get that out. I bet that's a couple of corners there that Michael wish he could have back.
Absolutely. So thankfully the incident points at the end didn't mean anything anyways, though, because he was not close to the penalty of incident points as the rest of them crossed the line. Some of them rather close to one another. Very close fight between Zamora and Abrams, only 3/10 at the line. But that is going to take us to a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to the Red Bull Ring, round 2 and season 2 of the Porsche Owners Club series sees Tom Layton take a victory over AJ Roper. They started on the front row together, but they swapped positions. Roper just couldn't hang with him. Still, got to give credit to AJ as he has looked mighty quick recently. Andrew Chinichi also couldn't quite keep up, but gets himself a podium, up one from the start. And then Jad Duncan was out of that podium, losing that spot down to 4th. Marc Rondeau getting a bit of a surprise 5th as he gets handed it right in the final corner. And Matt Hollander in 6th. So actually, maybe we did have a penalty for Michael Johnson. I'm trying to yeah, he is scored way down the order. I'm not sure what's going on there. Jeffrey Shulam was in 7th as Michael Ost was P8 and Dylan Scott 9th. Gabe Zamora is promoted to a top 10.
All right, as we continue to run down through the order, in 11th, it was Jacob Abrams, followed by Jim Slavic, Dustin Heindel, able to hold off Mark Bray there at the very end. Michael Bolton came home 15th after that first lap spin. Doug Boccioni was 16th, and Michael Johnson, as you said earlier, Joe, all the way down in 17th. We'll have to figure out exactly what happened there to him. John Mohmeyer was 18th, and it was Larry Haas in 19th. Mike Parsons, the first driver, one lap down in P20, and Jim Walsh and Drew Chala to round out your 22-car grid.
Looks like we've got Tom ready to chat with us after his victory here. And again, he did have to fight for this one as AJ Roper put up a good tussle to try and keep him from taking that victory, but just couldn't do it. Tom, it looked like it was going to be close just because of the qualifying times, but you did have to fight a bit there, try and take that out from AJ.
Yeah, we had a pretty good back and forth there for a while, and I was watching my relative too because Chinichi was catching up on me. So, I figured, man, I got to pass Roper or else I'm going to have Chinichi, and then I'm going to back up into Johnson, and then he's just going to take off. But, yeah, luckily I managed to get by him.
Now, speaking of getting by him, when you did, it almost looked like he lifted a little bit. Did you notice that? And did he say anything to you after the race?
No, he didn't say anything, and I think he did lift. I think maybe he just saw that I had pace and didn't want to, slow both of us down. I don't know, maybe he was okay with second, but yeah, he kind of opened the door for me there.
Certainly did, which I guess you can't complain. That's another victory in your pocket. And after losing out of the championship this time around, this has got to feel good to be back on the top step.
Yeah, it feels good. Yeah, I don't know, getting the hang of the car, and just I felt like I had a pretty good qualifying, good race, good pace during the race, and yeah, I'm looking forward to more of the season.
We are as well. Congratulations, Tom, on the win, and hopefully we'll see you next time out.
All right, thanks, guys, and I'd like to thank my sponsors, FR Sport, and also thank my wife.
Tom Layton with the win. And then up next, a man who's been also venturing into vintage machinery a little bit, AJ Roper, comes away with a podium, and DJ has caught up with him.
AJ, a good run out there for you today. Just looks like Tom Layton was a little bit too fast, but how was it from behind the car?
He sure was, yeah. I was definitely holding him up a little bit there at the start, and I was super nervous getting on the pole there, man. I was happy to be there, but was saying to the guys, it's nice to be there, but I'm kind of really nervous about it. Kind of don't want to be there anymore. But made a few mistakes on him, and he raced me clean. And thanks to his skill, we didn't have an accident there at the front. But yeah, it was a good time. I was definitely not going to catch him, though.
Well, I wanted to ask you really quick. It looked like you almost kind of backed off a little bit coming down there when he passed you. Was that deliberate, or was that...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I lifted a little bit. I figured he's going to probably start to pull away, and the best thing for me right now is to probably tuck in and see if I can stay in his wake kind of thing. But, yeah, probably was the right choice. He was going to come by me anyway, I think.
Well, I want to ask you very quickly. I know you've been making a couple appearances in the Lotus 79 series. Have you noticed any translation there from the Lotus to the Porsche?
Yeah, I would probably say no. I love that car. That is definitely my favorite car in iRacing. I look forward to it. There are some super fast guys over there that it's so tough to keep pace with them, but I love it. It's such a joy to drive, and that series is clean. The guys run really good. They run hard, but as far as any of the other series in iRacing, I'm kind of trying to step back and look for leagues because it's pretty wild out there.
Well, I can't disagree with you there, but I do have to fully agree with you there that the Lotus 79 is a treat to drive. But we're not here talking about Lotuses. We're here talking about Porsches. AJ, anybody you want to thank for a good second place run today?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'd first like to say thanks to everybody who manages and runs and operates the Porsche Owners Club. Super great bunch of guys, really classy, and I'm happy to be a part of it. I'd like to thank my wife. She's the one painting the car now, and so that's pretty cool. That's kind of represents my family and our family colors, and the Nook Shook stands for each one of us in the house. But yeah, thanks to my wife Alicia. I'd like to say hi to my boys, Jaden and Chase. You probably should be in bed, but yeah, thanks so much for the shout out.
All right, thank you. That was AJ Roper, your second place finisher here tonight, Joe.
Another man on the podium was Andrew Chinichi, a third place, and also kind of dropped off a little bit. But early in the race, I'm sure you could see those two fighting. Were you egging them on there, Andrew?
I mean, it was fun to watch them battle. I don't think I really had the pace that they had. So in the beginning, I was definitely, hoping that they might create an opportunity for me. But then, yeah, once I saw Tom get by, I kind of knew what was going to happen after that.
That qualifying looked like pretty close margins. Do you just chalk that up to the fact that this track has so few corners and it's not that long of a lap? Or do you feel like things have bunched up this season somewhat?
I think they have. I mean, it was cool to see AJ and Jad up there. Definitely in the past couple of races, I've noticed like little blips from Jad and then noticed AJ in previous races and thought, okay, he'll probably be up there with us at some point.
Well, we've got another German track coming our way in Oschersleben. It's a relatively new circuit for iRacing, and I have to admit, since it's come around, I haven't seen it a whole lot in the schedules. Have you had a chance to check it out yet?
No, I haven't. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to buy it. Have to do some practice. I'm struggling to find the sweet spot with this car. Kind of like it's either a little too much or too little. And I can't really find the consistency. I'm pretty happy with third here. I mean, at 7:15, I was still at baggage claim at LAX, so I'm super happy I was able to make the race. And then to get P3, I'm pretty stoked about that. Good damage limitation. But I'll definitely do some practice at Oschersleben and try to find the speed in this car that Tom has found.
Yeah, that's impressive considering the potential jet lag there. Congratulations on a podium regardless, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you in Germany.
All right. Thanks a lot. Take care, guys.
That was Andrew Chinichi, third place today, which is going to wrap us up with some thank yous to our sponsors, which includes Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. And Game Changer Wealth, helping you become a game changer with wealth. Contact them today at GameChangerBR.com or at 225-664-2565. Thanks to the team today, DJ, Zach, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. Like I said, next time out will be at Oschersleben, Monday, July 24th at 11 p.m. Eastern. Be sure to check out our other broadcasts that are listed here in the meantime. And until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.